Hello everybody, I'm coming from Belgium, in Jean-Blou, which is not so far from here if we find electricity to train, but I'm here. I will speak today to a work that I started for my PhD, and that leads to a R package for analyzing and treating qualitative interviews. That's the okay. It's working. That's the main contents of the presentation. It's three main parts: an introduction with concepts that we'll use, the approach, the core of the approach, and more details about the package for mapping the qualitative interviews. I use the qualitative interviews in the context of social ecological systems, which can be defined as integrated system of ecosystems and human society with feedbacks and interdependence. It's emphasized the concepts of human in nature. Then here are three main social ecological systems. You can see agriculture, forest management, or also fisheries. There are other examples also, but these are three main ones. And these systems are managed by humans, then by farmers, fishers, and so on. Then these men have practices. And here is a small comparison between techniques and practices. As techniques are a group of operation to produce an effect, we can, it's the ground in the knowledge. We can learn that in books. But practices is the way of applying these techniques. Then it's more ground in the action. And in order to understand more practice, you have to understand also the worldviews of people. And for doing that, we have to collect data that is not that is better catch by qualitative interviews, with face-to-face interviews, asking open-ended questions, collecting speech that you have to transcribe, and then analysis. In social science, a main technique of analysis is qualitative codings. Then I will define just here, and the output of this work will be more monography. In the left part of the table here, you see more quantitative surveys, and it's more linked to objects that are more common in data science with tables, numerical factors, or so on, data frames, and more, you can use more easily statistics. In fact, qualitative coding, I will focus on this concept, is simple. It's really simple. It's just attributing codes, concepts, to part of the documents. One sentence, one word, one paragraph of more. Then that's the operation in qualitative analysis. You see that we are interested by the worldview of people, by qualitative data, but as you see also in social ecological system, there is a link to the techniques and to quantitative elements, and then we are searching an object that can be in the interface of the two. And we found that cognitive maps can be this object that can be in between. Cognitive map refers to conceptual apparatus by which people classify, order, and interpret the world. That's the definition of Axelrod in a seminal article. Here is an example in another article on a cognitive map. I will not show in details, but it's based on a press article in the USA about the peace in the Middle East. And it's reflect the interaction and the causal effects of that are in the article. You see that it's a kind of graph, and the origin of the graph is grounded in the Middle Age with Euler in 1736, and Euler given us answer to this problem of the seventh bridge of Königsberg. Then the problem was that how is it a way to visit all the cities, all the part of the cities, by crossing the bridge only one time. Every bridge, but only once. And there is no possibilities. And Euler find the solution, explain the solution in his article. And it's the start of the graph theory. We can model the Königsberg city here with only 4 boxes and relationships between boxes. I will use graph which will be directed graph. Then I will transform the bridge into one-way bridge in order to show you how to pass from a graph to a matrix. And if you see that, it's really simple to see that to see the matrix. That you see that the concept A is linked to the B. You have a link from A to C. You have a link from A to D. You have a link from B to A, and you don't have any other link that is going out B. You see that, D, you see that D is giving 2 relationships and only receiving 1 relationship if you analyze this small matrix. That's not so difficult, and it's a way for us to pass from something that's qualitative to something that is more quantitative. I finish here the first main part of the presentation with the concepts. Now the second is the approach I developed in my PhD that I passed in 2014. It's the main part is 4 steps. We make a survey about, among managers. I did it with farmers in a grassland region. I get interviews that I have to transcribe. I coded the interviews in a certain approach. I have coded interviews. Then that I can produce individual cognitive maps. And the matrix, the mathematical forms of the cognitive maps, as I show you, allow us to produce social maps just by adding all the individual maps, the individual matrix. And I can produce social maps in order to see what's the most important concepts or relationships in these systems. Just that leads to a paper, a first paper. A second one is a kind of development of the approach in order to not to have only one big social maps, but to divide the groups in 2, the groups of all individual maps in 2, and to try to understand differences between these two, the 2 groups. We are going to the third part of the presentation, the CogMapR package. That's the package that is available not so from April in this year on the CRAN. And it takes lots of functions that I developed during the last years. What's the workflow in order to use a CogMapR? You have to use another package before, which is QCoder. It's not. I participate to this package, but it's not me that initiate this initiative. I don't know if people involved in in this one are there, but we can exchange also. That's for qualitative coding. I will show you an example. You can use function from CogMapR, and I develop a Shiny application also in order to execute more easily all the okay, thank you. Here is the way to, in order to code. It's a simple Shiny application, and you see that you have to find your project here. It's it's the link to the project. You open documents that are your interviews. You select a part of the text that you want to code. And you select concepts that can be classed in a group of concepts in one class or another. We can add weights of relationships and sign. That's an option. Okay, I will pass that. Let's go to the mapping part. Then you can produce individual cognitive map. I will go faster here because we will not show. Here is a crop diversification experience in Poland. In fact, we try to understand what's important for the farmer or for the element. When we group all the maps, we can have this kind of complicated social maps that it's not so easily understand, but you can, as you understand also, the matrix, when we adding all the individual cognitive maps, the relationships will have weights. In fact, if two farmers speak about the same relationships, these relationships will have a weight of 2 or 3. Here is the same map, but I only filter the relationships with a weight above 3. I have a ggplot version of these social maps here. If we want to go deeper in the analysis, it's the same plot with the minimum weight of 2. And we will analyze one concept that is important for us, for the study. That's maybe pest management in agriculture. In these systems, it's really important. And which are what are the concepts that are linked to this one? And we can produce also the map to focus more deeply. You see here, the weights of relationships, but you understand also here that concepts can have properties now. Centrality, it's the sum of all the weights of the edges that come and to and or from this concept. Out degree is all the edges that go out of the concept. In degree, all relationships that come in the concepts. If I take the 7th bridge of Königsberg, you can see that in degree, out degree is in line by rows, and in degree is by column. It's really simple to calculate. Centrality is the sum of the two other these two indicators, and with that we can start to compare groups, as I show you in the beginning. Here in a certain project, I will compare Belgium and Romania in order to see which relationships is different. Yeah, I show you here only the idea of relationship. After we have to combine with the real concepts and to understand what's make the difference between the world views of one group of people and another groups of people. You can produce a saturation graph in order to see if you are saturated what you are studying. It's linked to Markov chain relationship. And a big advantage of the work here is that I keep always the link with the quotes of the farmers, of the people. Then at every stage, you can read the quotes that are linked to the relationship. If you see an important relationship in your analysis, what are the text that is behind that? Case studies, I will just for information here, more in ecology and in agriculture, just other work I do. Many thanks for your attention. The slide is done with org Emacs, then you can find the code. I have to thank also this institution. And I have one challenge. It's maybe we can find a solution to the bridge of Toulouse. But I just imagine the challenge at midday, then I have no solution yet now. Maybe we can find together. Thank you.
Thank you. Time for question. Any question?
Hi. Hello. Thanks very much for your talk. It was really interesting. Just wanted to understand how you classified your concept. Was that done manually or was that done with some text analysis?
Sorry?
You talked about concepts. Yes. How do you classify your concept? Did you do that manually or did you use text analysis to see which keywords?
Only manually. In fact, it's an inductive approach. Then I start with a list of 0 concepts. Maybe if I'm sure that 1 or 2 concepts will come, I will take this concept, but maybe I will start the first interview with 0 concepts. And if I find for my research question that 1 concept is important and I find something interesting in the interviews, I add the relationships between 2 concepts and I add 2 concepts in my list that will grow from interviews to interviews.